Thanks for watching Afternoon Live. The college acceptance letters will be rolling in soon, but unfortunately getting into a school and paying for a school are not the same thing. So here with advice on how to make tuition more affordable, we welcome college finance consultant Jennifer Finetti. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Thanks so much for having me.
This is a really overwhelming topic. Do you have parents and caregivers coming to you just saying, I don't even know where to start?
Absolutely. I think that's one of the greatest challenges is just getting your hands around everything and figuring it out, especially because the FAFSA is new this year. So there's lots of changes for families to try to figure out.
Let's start there. So walk us through some of the basics of FAFSA and what's changing moving forward.
One of the biggest changes is that it opened late. It opened at the very end of December rather than in October as it usually does. And so there are a lot of families that have been scrambling, really wanting to get their financial aid offers. The good news is that the FAFSA is much, much shorter now. It used to be 103 questions, and now it's just 36.
Oh, wow.
So easier to get through.
I remember being really overwhelmed by that when I was getting ready to go off to college. Okay, what about negotiating financial aid offers? I didn't know you could do that.
You can, depending on the kinds of schools that you're talking about. So, public universities in your home state, usually you can't negotiate those offers. But if you have applied to private schools or out of state schools, you typically can look at your financial aid offer. If it's not quite what you were hoping for, you can contact your financial aid office and say, hey, I'd love to go to this school. It's my top choice. But it's not quite going to get me there with this financial aid offers. Is there anything else you can do? Are there any scholarships I could apply for? And in some cases, they will come back and say, yes, we're going to offer you another 3,000 or 5,000, something like that, to make it a little bit more palatable.
Oh, wow. You never know until you ask. Back to FAFSA really quick as well. Predicted shortfalls from the updated rules. Tell me about that.
Well, so for families that have more than one child in college at the same time, this might not be great news. It used to be that if you did have more than one child in college at the same time, this was considered a benefit and you might be more eligible for federal grant aid. However, with the new FAFSA, that is no longer the case. On the more positive side, though, if you are a single parent or the child of a single parent, you may find that you are more eligible for federal grant aid. So pluses and minuses.
Okay, just have to do your research and find out what works best for you and your family, which also relates to how much debt to take on. How do you decide how to move forward there?
I always recommend, if at all possible, to avoid student debt, right? Focus on applying for scholarships and jobs and look for federal grants. These are going to be your best options. If you do have to take on student debt, I highly recommend you don't take on more than federal student loans. So avoid private student loans if you possibly can. But really, if you can avoid loans at all, that's going to be your best bet.
Okay, so how about finding those high value scholarships? Are there some specific places to look out for?
A lot of students do Google for scholarships. There are also special scholarship websites that are available. The most important thing is to be persistent and proactive and not give up. If you don't apply for scholarships at all, you certainly can't get any. And unfortunately, a lot of students don't apply for scholarships, or they give up after just applying for a couple of them. You do have to be persistent and apply for as many as you can.
It's overwhelming when you're still a high school student and you're trying to manage your homework load and maybe your parents saying, hey, we got to get this scholarship done. Do you have advice to kind of motivate families to make that a priority in their home life as well?
Sure. I always encourage parents to partner with their child in searching for scholarships and also to help them with the application process. You don't want to do the scholarship application, but you want to be there. You want to be supportive and say, hey, are there essays you've written? Can I take a look? I'd be happy to give you feedback. A lot of parents actually search for scholarships for their child and say, hey, I found these scholarships for you. I think you're well qualified. It takes some of that pressure away from the student and allows them to focus on applying rather than searching for scholarships.
That's a great place to start. Hey, do you have advice for somebody who has a first grader right now? I'm about 10 years out. What's it going to look like by then?
You know what? It's hard to know what it's going to look like. If it looks anything like it's looked in the past 20 odd years, the price of college will unfortunately continue to rise. The best thing you can do is start saving money for your young child now. You can get a 529 account. You can use that to save for college. If you've got family, sometimes grandparents will set up accounts for your child. Anything you can do to reduce the cost of college while your child is young, and you can start, investing in their education early rather than scrambling when your child is a junior in high school, like the majority of families do,
Yep,
unfortunately.
that's a good place to start. Hey, thank you so much for talking with us today. Great advice.
Thank you.
We'll have more on our website at katu.com, and we'll be right back with more Afternoon Live right after this.